All right, let's talk about 2025. What a weird year for AI, right? I mean, large language models suddenly became these absolute wizards at things like math and coding. But then you'd see them completely faceplant on basic, simple logic. So what gives? Today, we're going to break down the massive shifts that made 2025 such a wild and, honestly, kind of confusing year for AI. Now, before we dive in, just so you know where all this is coming from, this entire explainer is built on the insights from AI researcher Andrej Karpathy's incredible end-of-year review. So you're getting a front row seat to what's happening at the absolute cutting edge, straight from one of the best in the game. And honestly, this one quote from him just nails it. LLMs are emerging as a new kind of intelligence, simultaneously a lot smarter than I expected and a lot dumber than I expected. That's it. That's the whole puzzle of 2025. How can something be a genius and a dunce at the same time? Well, let's get into what's really going on under the hood. Okay, so where do we even start? What was the single biggest change this year? It really all comes down to a brand new ingredient in the recipe, the formula for building these powerful AIs. And trust me, this one change, it's the key to understanding everything else that went down in 2025. So for the longest time, the recipe was pretty much set in stone. It was this stable, three-step process that everybody used. You had your pre-training, right, where the model just slurps up the entire internet. Then you had supervised fine-tuning, or SFT, which is basically teaching it to follow your instructions. And finally, RLHF, reinforcement learning from human feedback, where you get humans to tell it what's good and what's bad. That was the playbook. But then 2025 happened, and a fourth step got added to the recipe, a total game changer. RLVR. That's reinforcement learning from verifiable rewards. And what this means is that suddenly the AI could train for way, way longer on tasks where you can objectively measure if it got it right. Think math problems, coding challenges, stuff with a clear right or wrong answer where you don't need a human to sit there and give it a thumbs up. So you might be thinking, okay, a fourth step, big deal. But why is this addition so revolutionary? I mean, how does having a clear right answer completely change the game for AI? Well, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful concept. And that concept is verifiability. It's a simple idea, but with huge consequences. If a computer can automatically check if the AI got something right, like a math problem or a coding puzzle, then you have a verifiable task. This is massive. It means the AI can just practice on its own. It can try, fail, check its own work, and learn over and over and over again, literally millions of times, without a human ever having to look at it. And this leads to a fundamental shift in how we even think about programming. We're moving from what you could call software 1.0, where we, the humans, have to write out every single step, every line of code, telling the computer exactly what to do, to software 2.0. In this new world, we just tell the AI the goal. We don't tell it how, we just tell it what we want. We say, here's what success looks like, and then we let it figure out the how, rewarding it every time it gets it right. Okay, so what kind of intelligence do you actually get when you train an AI this way, with endless automated practice on puzzles? Well, you don't get a brain that thinks like us, not even close. You get something else entirely, something weird. Karpathy has this amazing term for it. He says we're summoning ghosts, not building animals. And that's such a perfect way to put it. Think about it. Animals, that's us, right? Our intelligence was shaped by billions of years of evolution, of survival, of interacting with the physical world. But these LLMs, they're ghosts. They're not shaped by reality. They're shaped by data. They're what you get when you just distill all of humanity's text from the internet. It's a statistical ghost in the machine, not a biological creature. And yeah, this quote just says it all. Pre-training is our crappy evolution. It's a bit of a joke, but it's true. Instead of that deep biological foundation we have, LLMs get the internet, all of it. The good, the bad, the messy, the biased. That's their starting point. So what does this ghost intelligence actually look like? Well, it's jagged. That's the perfect word for it. Because the AI can practice verifiable stuff like math and code forever, its abilities in those areas just skyrocket. It becomes a superhuman genius. But then you ask it a simple common sense question, something that isn't easily verifiable, and it's like you're talking to a confused toddler. The intelligence profile has these massive peaks and deep, deep valleys. All right, so we have these powerful, kind of weird, jagged intelligences. What happens when you actually put them to work? Well, you don't just get a slightly better chatbot. you get a whole new category of software, a new kind of AI-powered toolbox that completely changes how we use our computers. And a perfect example of this is the rise of what you could call Cursor for X-type apps. Cursor really pioneered this new model. We're not talking about just a plain old chat window. These apps are smarter. They manage all the context for you, they make a bunch of different AI calls in the background, and they give you this slick, specialized interface that's built for one specific job. It's way more than just chat. Then you've got this other huge shift, the AI moving from the cloud onto your actual computer. Think about Claude Code. This isn't an AI you go visit on some website anymore. This is an AI that lives on your machine. It can see your files, it knows your context, it has access to your private data securely locally. It's not just a tool you use, it's a real collaborator that's right there with you. But maybe the most mind-blowing change of all is what this is doing to programming. We're seeing this new AI capability completely democratize what used to be one of the most complex skills out there. And it's led to this kind of wild new term, vibe coding. Seriously, the idea is that the AI gets so good, you pretty much forget that code even exists. You stop thinking about syntax and functions, you just describe the vibe of the app you want. You tell it what it should do, what it should feel like in plain English, and poof, it builds the whole thing for you. And this isn't just theory. Karpathy himself said, I vibe coded my own custom, highly efficient BPE tokenizer in Rust instead of having to learn Rust at that level. I mean, think about that. Even an expert can now build something super complex in a language they don't really know. All of a sudden, code becomes kind of cheap. It's disposable. You can just whip up an entire app to solve one little problem and then just throw it away. So if you take all these trends and you look at where they're heading, you get to one pretty profound conclusion. LLMs aren't just a new feature. They're becoming the next major computing platform. This is a shift that's just as big as, say, the PC showing up in the 80s. And here's a great way to think about it. You know how we chat with an LLM today in a text box? Well, that's basically the 2025 version of the old command line from the 80s. It works, sure, but text is the computer's native language. It's not ours. So the future isn't about us learning to speak computer, it's about the AI learning to speak human. A future where the AI communicates in the way we prefer, with images, with charts, with slides, with interactive visuals. Remember that Google Gemini Nano Banana demo? That was the first little hint of a true GUI for AI, where text, image generation, and knowledge are all tangled up together. But here's the kicker, the truly mind-blowing part of all this. With all this insane progress, Karpathy thinks we've unlocked less than 10% of the potential of the LLMs we already have today. We've barely scratched the surface. So let's just recap the whole story of 2025. It's this amazing chain reaction, right? It all starts with that breakthrough training technique, RLVR, which is powered by verifiability. That creates these ghost AIs with that weird, jagged intelligence. That, in turn, opens the door for a whole new layer of LLM apps and local agents, which then leads to vibe coding, making programming accessible to everyone. And it all points to the next great frontier, the LLM GUI. So this isn't just about a better chatbot. This is a massive paradigm shift that's really just getting started. We're talking about a fundamentally new kind of computer. And that leaves us with the biggest, most exciting question as we look ahead to 2026. If AI is the new computer, what kind of programs are we even going to build?